Being a physician scientist both at the National Institutes of Health and Mount Sinai in New York, we really wanted to look for at the NIH what is the next step in preventive cardiology. You know, we've looked at so many things from spanning early in the 70s to diet, exercise, perhaps even smoking cessation. There have been so many medications on the market in the 80s and 90s, statin use. But the hottest topic here at the ESC that everyone seems to be talking about is inflammatory markers, inflammation, fibrosis. What do we know about it? How do we find it? And is it causing all-cause mortality, cardiovascular death? And then the biggest question is how to treat it. So our study, our ideal idea of the study was looking at tissue inhibitor metalloproteinase 1, a novel biomarker that inhibits matrix metalloproteinase 9 and then ensues or promotes fibrosis. So that is the biggest key point, I think, of our study. We know that inflammation is a normal part of tissue remodeling, and we know that matrix metalloproteinases are part of that normal inflammatory cascade. But when it gets to fibrosis, that's when TIMP, this novel biomarker, drives down the MMP9, inhibits it, and promotes fibrosis. Yeah, this is a great study. This actually comes from the Reykjavik study from Iceland, obviously, where nearly 20,000 men and women were recruited between 1967 and 1996. The AGES-Reykjavik study, or the age gene epidemiology study, is about 6,000 of those survivors from the Reykjavik cohort. So our study, after excluding some missing values, were about 5,500 participants in our analysis cohort. We first looked at all-cause mortality. And we had taken what everyone knows as a use for risk factors, or the Framingham risk score variables. So we took the Framingham risk score variables and two other clinical variables, BMI and statin use, and we added these four biomarkers. What we wanted to compare was, are our biomarkers, TIMP-1 and MMP9, are they as strong of a predictor of all-cause mortality and cardiovascular death over high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which everyone's talking about at this conference, and EGFR. And so when looking at all-cause mortality, no surprise, because this is an older population. The average age was 77 years in our population, a little bit older than the studies that are being shown yesterday and today. But age was the highest predictor of all-cause mortality. Not surprised. What was interesting was that our biomarker, TIMP-1, was the second predictor of all-cause mortality, second only to age. And it basically was much stronger predictor than EGFR and HSCRP, which was a weak predictor. When looking at cause-specific death, cardiovascular death, again, age was the strongest predictor. Again, no surprise. But TIMP-1, again, was the second highest predictor of cardiovascular death in this population. Yeah, this is the next step. This is what we all need to work on as physician scientists. It's a part of preventive cardiology, but going beyond what we already know. How do you know which biomarker to target, and how effectively with what do you target? There are some 25 potential treatments for inflammatory markers out there, and only some are in clinical trials. We saw yesterday at the ESC the CANTOS study, very big study, where inhibiting interleukin-1 beta was an exact fibrotic pathway inhibitor, a modulator. We hope to do the same. We're not there yet. This study was not a treatment study. We're not there, but we hope to be there someday soon. And the goal is, can we target TIMP-1 and prevent fibrosis, and perhaps even prevent cardiovascular and all-cause mortality? Yeah, modulators, inflammatory and fibrotic modulators. If we could find something to specifically target the inhibitors of the matrix metalloproteinases, we're not only looking at all-cause death and cardiovascular death, but just in the previous studies, we too saw an association with cancer death. So age was the highest predictor of cancer death, then cigarette smoking, current smokers, and then TIMP-1 was the third predictor. So we're also looking at how do we prevent the overexpression of TIMP-1 or the TIMPs and inhibiting the matrix metalloproteinases. So we have a huge area to focus on. Our study spanned 10 years. This was 10-year mortality. So we have a significant area to target for treatment. And the next time we speak, we'll be speaking hopefully about what that treatment is.